Right, hello again. We're going to tie now a hot spot pheasant tail nymph, and apparently we're going to do it with a really squeaky bobbin. So I've already added a little bit of lead onto this size 12 hook. I'm going to catch a couple of mil behind the eye, run down till you meet the thread, meet the lead, jump over and catch behind, same as we've done with the other flies, to lock that lead in the thoracic area. Now I'm just going to come over, whoopsie daisy, a couple of times to kind of lock the thread in. It looks messy, this. Don't worry about it, it's all going to get covered up. Bring the thread down to basically meet till you're in line with the barb of the hook, sorry. Right, pheasant tail, 90 degrees from the stem. Half a dozen, 8 maybe. I always like to use more fibres because they do get broken. So, you know, at least you're left with some tail. Tail length of the hook shank. And again with this, catching it on the side and allowing thread talk to roll it on. When you're happy, do a couple of locking turns, pull the fibre back and then come back to the back of the lead. Bit of copper wire, put it up to the back of the lead just so we haven't got a horrible step. Catch it in and then wind, whoopsie daisy, wind down till you're at the start of the tail basically. Come back up. And again with pheasant tail, we're going to wind it the opposite way. When you've kind of come onto the lead, that's enough. I'm going to pass my thread over, swap hands with the material that I'm tying with, the pheasant tail. And then we're going to do cross, I'm trying to do it so you can see, cross the fibre, turn onto the hook. Cross the fibre, turn onto the hook. Do that 3 times. It is harder tying things in when you're winding the opposite way than you're normally winding. I'm just going to do a couple of locking turns there. Just going to wax the thread and we're going to come up with the wire. So just keep coming up, thinking about your spacing, thinking about shape until we get to the end of the body. Follow it up with the thread, put a bend into that wire. If you can see, well, just do a turn there. Can you see the bend? I put it into the wire. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to lock it with a few turns. And then I'm going to, as per usual, wiggle, 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 snap it off. Wax thread. And now I'm going to have a good tidy up here because it all looks a little bit messy. Once you've had a nice tidy up, we're going to come down right to the eye and we're going to tie in the legs and the thorax. Now I'm going to want about a dozen maybe. Again, pulling them 90 degrees from the stem. We're going to catch it over. We're going to pull them in to they're about a body length-ish. We're going to come back, jump onto that lead to where the body starts. Now, dubbing. I'm going to go back to my Dave Whitlock's SLF product. I'm going to be using this one. And this one's called Scud Shrimp Orange and Pink. It's a lovely colour. I mean, you can't get a hotter hot spot than this, you know. We're going to add it, dub it onto the thread. Just spin it on. I mean, you can spin this on fairly thick because we are going to be brushing it out. So as I go, I tend to retighten. That's better. We're going to come back up. I'm just going to take a little bit of this off. I've got way, way, way too much here. Oh, I'm just going to tighten all of this. We're going to come up. And thinking about the shape, we're going to come back down. Just going to have a little check. I'm happy with that. When you're happy with that, we're going to come across with my thorax cover and we're going to part these legs. So, as usual, we're going to come in, part the legs. I mean, a couple have broken on me. Don't worry about it. It really doesn't matter. So once you've got your legs parted, come over with the thorax cover. Again, sweeping all the legs back, like we've done with the other flies. Hold it, come over with the thread, a turn or two, catch it, pull it all back, catch it, and then you can come in and trim, minding your legs. There we go. Now we're going to have a look at my legs. Now, if you've got any that are fairly long or anything like that, don't worry if it's not perfect. This little thing I tied here, I tied it one day simply because I wanted something to get their attention a little bit more than a normal pheasant tail nymph, and they were loving pheasant tail nymphs. So, I've built myself a nice little head. You've always got to think about the head. It is part of the fly. So once you've built yourself a nice head, we can, as per usual, varnish thread, take whip finish tool, and come in. 1, 2, 4 is plenty. We're going to take this up. Oh, come on, out of the way. Come back down. There we go. And then just either snip or just pull and break the thread off like I just did there. I'm going to sweep this all down, and we're going to come in with my little brush again. Just pull a few out. Not many, just a few. Any that are really long, I'm just going to tap away anyway, cut away anyway. And there we have it. Last things last, obviously. I'm just going to varnish the thorax cover again, like I always do on these pheasant tail nymphs. I like to varnish the thorax cover simply because it toughens the fly up. Mind his little legs. Get them out. And there we have a little scruffy hot spot pheasant tail nymph. Now, believe me, I've caught loads of fish on that, especially on the still waters when they're being a bit funny. I'm sure you know what I mean by that if you fish them a lot. They're not always as easy as they sometimes are, and sometimes just adding a little hot spot to a fly is all that you need. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching, and get out there and catch some fish. Spring is nearly on us.